With Enkidu by his side, Gilgamesh no longer sought glory for himself alone. Together, they dreamed of accomplishing something no king had ever dared attempt. Far to the west lay the legendary cedar forest. Its towering trees were unlike anything found in the plains of Mesopotamia. For the people of Sumer, cedar wood was precious. It was used to build temples, palaces, and great monuments. But according to the Epic, the forest was forbidden. It was guarded by a terrifying being known as Humbaba, appointed by the god Enlil himself. Whether Humbaba was ever intended to represent a real enemy, a powerful ruler, or simply a mythical monster remains unknown. What matters is what the story tells us. Gilgamesh and Enkidu entered the forest despite overwhelming fear. Every step carried them deeper into the unknown. The air grew still. The trees rose like pillars to the sky. Then, Humbaba appeared. The guardian's roar echoed through the forest. A fierce battle followed. The epic tells us that with courage, skill, and the help of the gods, the two friends defeated Humbaba. The cedar forest was no longer beyond human reach. Gilgamesh had achieved the glory he sought, but victory would soon come at a terrible cost. When Gilgamesh returned to Uruk, his fame spread across the land. According to the epic, even the goddess Ishtar admired his strength and offered to make him her husband. Gilgamesh refused, not politely. He reminded her of the unhappy fates of those she had loved before. Insulted by the rejection, Ishtar appealed to her father, the sky god Anu. She demanded vengeance. The gods sent the mighty bull of heaven to punish Uruk. The creature brought destruction wherever it walked. The ground split open beneath its hooves. People fled in terror. Once again, Gilgamesh and Enkidu stood together, side by side, friend beside friend, king beside equal. Together, they confronted the monstrous beast. The battle was fierce, but together they prevailed. It was their greatest triumph. Yet according to the epic, the gods believed that such victories had disturbed the balance between mortals and the divine. A judgment was made. One of the two heroes would have to die. The gods chose Enkidu. He fell gravely ill. Day after day, his strength faded. The mighty warrior who had once wrestled Gilgamesh through the streets of Uruk could no longer rise from his bed. Gilgamesh refused to believe what was happening. He stayed beside his friend. He prayed. He wept. He pleaded. But nothing could stop death. When Enkidu finally died, Gilgamesh was consumed by grief. The king who had feared nothing now feared the one enemy no sword could defeat: death. For days, according to the epic, Gilgamesh refused to bury his friend. He could not accept that the man who had changed his life was gone forever. And then a terrifying realization struck him. If Enkidu could die, so could he. This moment transformed the story. It was no longer about heroic adventures. It became a deeply human search for meaning. Determined to escape death, Gilgamesh left Uruk alone. His journey carried him across mountains, deserts, and distant seas. His destination was a man unlike any other: Utnapishtim. According to Mesopotamian tradition, Utnapishtim had survived a great flood sent by the gods and had been granted eternal life. Many historians note striking similarities between this flood story and later flood traditions found in other cultures. Whether inspired by shared traditions or independent development remains a subject of scholarly discussion. When Gilgamesh finally reached Utnapishtim, he asked the question that had driven him across the world. "How can I live forever?" Utnapishtim answered with a lesson rather than a promise. He challenged Gilgamesh to remain awake for 6 days and 7 nights. Surely someone seeking to conquer death could conquer sleep. But almost immediately, Gilgamesh fell asleep. The lesson was clear. If a man cannot master sleep, how can he hope to defeat death? Before Gilgamesh departed, Utnapishtim revealed one final hope. Deep beneath the waters grew a rare plant said to restore youth. Gilgamesh found it. At last, it seemed he had achieved the impossible. But while resting beside a pool of water, a serpent emerged silently. It stole the plant, then disappeared forever. The image is unforgettable. The king who had crossed the world in search of eternal life watched his final chance vanish before his eyes. Gilgamesh returned to Uruk, not as the proud ruler who had once believed himself above all others, but as a wiser man. He finally understood that no human escapes death. What endures is not the length of life, but what we leave behind. His city, its walls, its people, its achievements. That was his true immortality. Today, historians believe there probably was a real king named Gilgamesh who ruled Uruk around 2700 BCE. However, the adventures with Humbaba, the Bull of Heaven, and the search for immortality belong to one of humanity's greatest literary masterpieces rather than verifiable history. Yet that does not make the story any less important. In fact, it may make it even more remarkable. Because beneath the monsters and the gods lies a question every generation has asked. How should we live, knowing that our lives will one day end? 4,000 years ago, an unknown poet gave humanity one possible answer. Live well, build something that lasts, cherish friendship, accept mortality, and leave the world better than you found it. Gilgamesh never discovered the secret of eternal life, but in an unexpected way. He achieved it. His city became legend. His story crossed empires. His name survived forgotten kingdoms, vanished languages, and the rise and fall of civilizations. Today, thousands of years after his death, we still speak his name. And perhaps that is the greatest immortality any human being can ever hope to achieve.